What would you do if one lie could save your mother's life? What if that same lie could destroy the love you never expected to find? Maya Carter made a choice. She lied. She said she was married. She said she had a son. And for a while, it worked. Until the day her new boss kissed her. And everything exploded. Maya Carter's hands were shaking as she sat in the hospital waiting room. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a cold, sterile glow on everything. Her mother, Elizabeth, had been rushed in 3 hours ago. Another cardiac episode. The third one this month. The doctor's words still echoed in Maya's mind. Stage 3 heart disease. Surgery required. $50,000. Without insurance. Maya was 28 years old. She had a degree in business administration. She was smart, capable, hardworking. But in the past 6 months, she'd been rejected from 15 job interviews. The economy was brutal. Competition was fierce. And she was running out of time. Her phone buzzed. Another medical bill. Another reminder that she was drowning. She scrolled through job listings with tears blurring her vision. Most positions paid barely enough to cover rent. Nothing that could save her mother. Nothing that could pull them out of this nightmare. And then she saw it. Blackwood Industries. Executive assistant to the CEO. Salary, $85,000 annually. Full health benefits. Signing bonus. It was perfect. Too perfect. Maya clicked on the job description, her heart pounding. The requirements were standard. Bachelor's degree. 5 years of experience. Proficiency in multiple software programs. She had all of that. But then she reached the final line, and her blood ran cold. Preference given to married candidates with children. Blackwood Industries maintains a strict professional environment. Maya stared at those words. Married. With children. She wasn't married. She didn't have children. She'd been single for 2 years, ever since her ex-boyfriend, Marcus, had dumped her for someone more ambitious. But as she sat there, with her mother's life hanging in the balance, with bills piling up and hope running out, something inside her snapped. She opened her photos. Found a picture of her best friend's son, Tyler. A beautiful 6-year-old boy with bright eyes and a gap-toothed smile. She'd taken that photo at his birthday party last month. Maya took a deep breath. And she started building her lie. She created a fake Facebook profile. Posted old photos of herself with Tyler, captioning them with things like, "My little man," and, "Best day with my boy." She found a stock photo of a man in a suit, never showing his face clearly, and added a few pictures that could pass as a loving husband. It took her 3 hours to build a fake life. 3 hours to create a marriage that never existed. A child that wasn't hers. A happiness that was nothing but pixels and desperation. When she finally submitted her application to Blackwood Industries, she felt sick. But she also felt something else. Hope. 2 days later, her phone rang. The interview was scheduled for Friday. 9 a.m. sharp. Maya walked into the Blackwood Industries building wearing her best outfit. A navy blazer. White blouse. Black pencil skirt. Her hair pulled back in a professional bun. She looked the part. Confident. Capable. Married. The HR director, a woman named Patricia, smiled warmly as Maya entered the conference room. The interview started normally. Questions about her experience. Her skills. Her ability to handle high-pressure situations. And then Patricia leaned forward, her expression softening. "So, tell me about your family. I see from your application that you have a son." Maya's throat tightened. But she'd rehearsed this. She'd prepared. She smiled. "Yes. Tyler. He's 6 years old. The light of my life." She pulled out her phone, showing the carefully curated photos. Tyler blowing out birthday candles. Tyler at the park. Tyler holding her hand. Patricia's eyes lit up. He's adorable. And your husband? Maya didn't miss a beat. Daniel. We've been married for 4 years. He works in software development. Very supportive. Understands that my career is important to me. The life flowed so smoothly it scared her. She'd become someone else entirely. Someone who had it all together. Someone who wasn't drowning. Patricia nodded approvingly. That's exactly what we're looking for. Mr. Blackwood has very specific policies about his executive team. He believes that married women with families bring stability and professionalism to the workplace. Maya kept her smile perfectly in place. But inside, she felt a wave of relief mixed with guilt. She got the job. The salary was even better than advertised. $90,000. Full benefits starting immediately. A signing bonus of $5,000. When Maya called her mother from the parking lot, she cried so hard she could barely speak. Mom. I got it. I got the job. We're going to be okay. You're going to get your surgery. Everything's going to be okay. On the other end of the line, Elizabeth cried too. Oh, sweetheart. I knew you could do it. I'm so proud of you. Maya sat in her car for 20 minutes, letting the reality sink in. She'd done it. She'd lied her way into saving her mother's life. She told herself it was temporary. Just until she got on her feet. Just until the medical bills were paid. Just until things stabilized. But deep down, she knew. This lie was going to follow her. It was going to grow. And eventually, it was going to explode. Maya's first day at Blackwood Industries was overwhelming. The building was a gleaming tower of glass and steel in downtown Chicago. 42 floors of corporate power. And she was going to work on the top floor. The executive suite was intimidating. Everything was pristine. Modern. Expensive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. Abstract art hung on the walls. The air smelled like leather and money. And then she met him. Ethan Blackwood. He was 34 years old. 6 feet 2 inches of sharp jawline and piercing gray eyes. His suit probably cost more than her entire wardrobe. His presence commanded the room without him saying a single word. He looked at her the way you'd look at a piece of furniture. Functional. Necessary. Forgettable. Miss Carter. Welcome to Blackwood Industries. I expect punctuality, precision, and professionalism. My schedule is demanding. I don't tolerate mistakes. Do you understand? Maya straightened her spine. Yes, Mr. Blackwood. Completely. He nodded once. Good. Patricia will show you to your desk. We have a board meeting in 90 minutes. I'll need the quarterly reports printed and organized by then. And just like that, he walked away. Maya exhaled. This was going to be harder than she thought. The first 3 weeks were brutal. Ethan Blackwood was demanding, exacting, and completely impersonal. He never asked about her life. Never made small talk. Never even looked at her unless he needed something. Which was perfect. Exactly what Maya needed. Professional distance. No personal questions. No risk of her lie being discovered. She settled into a routine. Wake up at 5:30. Shower. Dress in her carefully chosen work clothes. Stop by the hospital to check on her mother before heading to the office. Work from 7:30 a.m. until 7 p.m. Go home. Collapse. Repeat. Her co-workers were friendly. They'd ask about Tyler, and Maya would show them photos, spinning stories about soccer practice and parent-teacher conferences. She'd talk about Daniel, her fictional husband, and how supportive he was. The lie became easier with each telling. It stopped feeling like a lie and started feeling like a script she'd memorized. But then, everything changed. It was late October when Patricia sent out the email. Mandatory company retreat. Miami Beach. 3 days. All executive staff required to attend. Maya's stomach dropped. 3 days away from Chicago. 3 days where she'd have to maintain the lie 24/7. 3 days where people might ask too many questions. But she couldn't say no. Not without raising suspicion. She told her mother she had a work trip. She told her best friend, Rachel, that she needed her to be on standby in case anyone called asking about Tyler. And she packed her bags. Miami Beach was beautiful. Warm October sun. Ocean breeze. The hotel was luxury incarnate. A 5-star resort with private beaches and infinity pools. The company had rented out an entire wing. Team building activities during the day. Networking dinners at night. It was supposed to be about corporate bonding. But for Maya, it was 3 days of walking on eggshells. She was careful. Always. She'd talk about Tyler if someone asked. Mention Daniel in passing. Keep her wedding ring visible. Play the part perfectly. But on the second night, something inside her snapped. The networking dinner had ended. People were filtering back to their rooms or heading to the hotel bar. Maya was exhausted from maintaining her facade. She needed a break. A moment to just be herself. She changed out of her stiff work clothes. Put on a simple sundress. Let her hair down. Washed off the heavy makeup she wore to look older, more mature, more married. And she went to the bar. It was quieter there. Soft jazz music playing. Dim lighting. She ordered a glass of wine and sat in a corner booth, finally allowing herself to relax. She didn't notice him at first. Ethan Blackwood was sitting at the bar, tie loosened, jacket off, looking more human than she'd ever seen him. He had a glass of whiskey in front of him, staring at nothing in particular. And then their eyes met. For a moment, he didn't recognize her. She looked so different. Softer. Younger. More herself. Miss Carter. She froze. So much for her quiet escape. Mr. Blackwood. I didn't see you there. He studied her, something shifting in his expression. You look different. I'm off the clock. He smiled. Just barely. First time I've seen that happen. There was a pause. An awkward, heavy pause. And then, surprisingly, he spoke again. May I join you? Maya should have said no. Should have made an excuse. Should have run back to her room and maintained the professional distance that had kept her safe. But she didn't. Sure. He slid into the booth across from her, and for the first time since she'd started working for him, they actually talked. Not about work. Not about quarterly reports or board meetings. They talked about life. He told her about growing up with impossible expectations. Being groomed from birth to take over the family business. Never having the freedom to choose his own path. She told him about her mother. About watching her slowly fade. About feeling helpless. About the weight of being the only one who could save her. She didn't tell him about the lie. But she told him enough truth that it felt real. The conversation flowed. An hour passed. Then 2. The wine made her warm. The music made the world feel softer. And for the first time in months, Maya felt like herself. Ethan leaned back, studying her. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone older. More jaded. Less real. Maya laughed. Is that a compliment? Yes. The air between them shifted. Thickened. Charged with something neither of them could name. The bar was emptying out. The music had changed to something slow. Intimate. Ethan stood up. We should probably head back. Maya nodded. Started to gather her things. But then he stopped. Turned back to her. Maya. It was the first time he'd used her first name. The sound of it on his lips made her heart skip. Yes? He took a step closer. Then another. Until he was right in front of her. Close enough that she could smell his cologne. Close enough that she could see the conflict in his eyes. This is a terrible idea. What is? He didn't answer with words. He answered by cupping her face with both hands and kissing her. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't tentative. It was desperate. Hungry. Like he'd been holding back for weeks and finally couldn't anymore. And Maya, God help her, kissed him back. For 5 perfect seconds, she forgot everything. Forgot the lie. Forgot that he was her boss. Forgot that this was going to ruin everything. All she knew was the feeling of his lips on hers. His hands in her hair. The way her entire body came alive under his touch. And then reality crashed down. She shoved him away, gasping. I can't. I'm married. The words came out strangled. Panicked. Ethan stepped back, shock and horror flooding his face. What did I just do? Maya was already backing away. This didn't happen. This can't happen. Maya, wait. But she was already gone. Running through the hotel lobby. Taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Bursting into her room and locking the door behind her. She sank to the floor, her whole body shaking. What had she done? She'd kissed her boss. She'd kissed Ethan Blackwood. And worse, she'd wanted to. She looked down at the fake wedding ring on her finger. The symbol of her lie. The thing that was supposed to protect her. And she cried. The flight back to Chicago was torture. Maya sat in economy. Ethan was in first class. They didn't see each other. Didn't speak. But Maya knew. Everything had changed. Monday morning came too quickly. She walked into the office with her stomach in knots. She'd rehearsed what she'd say if he confronted her. She'd prepared a dozen different apologies. But when she reached her desk, there was only a note. We need to maintain professionalism. What happened in Miami stays in Miami. It was typed. Formal. Cold. Relief and disappointment warred inside her. He was going to pretend it never happened. Which was good. Which was exactly what she needed. Except it wasn't that simple. Because Ethan Blackwood couldn't pretend. Not really. She noticed the way he looked at her now. Not like furniture. Not like an assistant. But like a woman. Like someone he wanted but couldn't have. She'd catch him staring. His jaw tight. His hands clenched. And when she'd meet his eyes, he'd look away quickly, a muscle jumping in his cheek. The tension in the office was suffocating. He became more demanding. Colder. Like he was punishing himself by pushing her away. But every time she walked into his office, every time she leaned over his desk to show him a document, she could feel the electricity crackling between them. It was only a matter of time before something broke. 2 weeks after Miami, Ethan called her into his office at 7 p.m. Everyone else had gone home. The building was quiet. Just the two of them. Close the door. Maya's heart hammered. She closed the door. He didn't look at her. Just stared out the window at the Chicago skyline. I need to ask you something. And I need you to be honest with me. Okay. That night in Miami. Did you feel it too? Or was it just me? Maya's breath caught. This was dangerous territory. This could ruin everything. But she couldn't lie. Not about this. I felt it. He turned to face her then. The raw emotion in his eyes nearly broke her. I can't stop thinking about you. I've tried. God knows I've tried. But every day you walk in here, and I have to pretend I don't want you. I have to pretend that kiss didn't turn my entire world upside down. Ethan, please don't. You're married. I know. You have a family. I know. And I hate myself for feeling this way. But I need you to know. I need you to know that what I feel is real. Maya felt tears burning behind her eyes. This was it. The moment where her lie was going to destroy them both. She should tell him the truth. Right now. Should confess everything. But she was too afraid. Afraid of losing her job. Afraid of losing her mother's medical coverage. Afraid of losing him before she even had him. So instead, she did the only thing she could think of. She walked to the door. Put her hand on the handle. I think it's best if I look for another position. I'll submit my resignation tomorrow. Maya, no. This isn't healthy. For either of us. And she left before he could stop her. That night, Maya cried until she had no tears left. She'd finally found something real. Someone who saw her. Who wanted her. And she couldn't have him because of a lie she'd told to save her mother. But fate wasn't done with her yet. Because Ethan Blackwood was not a man who gave up easily. Ethan couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Couldn't think about anything except Maya. He'd never felt this way before. Never let anyone get under his skin like this. He'd built his entire life on control. On logic. On keeping emotions at a safe distance. But Maya had shattered all of that with one kiss. He told himself to let her go. To accept her resignation. To move on. But something didn't feel right. He couldn't explain it. Just a nagging sense that there was more to her story. Little inconsistencies that his analytical mind kept catching. She never talked about her husband by name. Always just, my husband. Never specific stories. Never complaints or inside jokes the way married couples usually shared. She never wore her wedding ring at work until after Miami. He'd noticed that. The ring had appeared suddenly, like an afterthought. And the photos she showed of her son. They were always the same few images. Never new ones. Never the constant stream of photos that parents usually shared. Ethan felt guilty for even thinking it. But he couldn't shake the feeling. So he did something he wasn't proud of. He asked Patricia to pull Maya's employee file. Patricia hesitated. That's confidential, Mr. Blackwood. I need to verify some information. For emergency contact purposes. It was a weak excuse. But Patricia complied. Ethan reviewed the file carefully. Home address. Emergency contacts. Medical information. And there it was. Emergency contact, Elizabeth Carter. Mother. No husband listed. No child listed. His heart started pounding. That could mean nothing. Maybe she'd just forgotten to update the form. But then he noticed something else. Her home address was a small one-bedroom apartment in a modest neighborhood. Not the kind of place a family of 3 would live. Ethan closed the file. His hands were shaking. He needed more information. But he couldn't ask Maya directly. Not yet. So he waited. And he watched. 3 days later, he saw his opportunity. Maya's best friend came to pick her up from work. A man in his early 30s with an easy smile. He hugged Maya goodbye. Ethan followed them out. Casual. Like he was just leaving for the day. He approached the man as Maya walked to her car. Excuse me. I'm Ethan Blackwood. Maya's boss. The man turned, surprised. Oh. Hey. I'm Daniel. Ethan's blood ran cold. Daniel. The husband. I just wanted to say thank you for being so understanding about Maya's demanding schedule. I know it must be hard on your family. Daniel looked confused. Family? Yeah. With Tyler and everything. Daniel's face went completely blank. Then understanding dawned. And horror. Oh. Right. Yeah. No problem. But Ethan saw it. The panic. The lie. He pressed further. How old is Tyler now? 6. Daniel swallowed hard. Listen, man, I really gotta go. And he practically ran to his car. Ethan stood there in the parking lot, his heart hammering. She'd lied. About everything. She wasn't married. She didn't have a son. The whole thing was a fabrication. He should have been angry. Should have felt betrayed. Should have been planning to fire her immediately. But instead, all he felt was relief. Because it meant she was free. And what they'd felt in Miami wasn't wrong. It was real. The next morning, Ethan sent Maya a message. My office. 5 p.m. Don't be late. Maya's stomach dropped. She knew. Somehow, he'd found out. The day crawled by. Every minute felt like an hour. She considered running. Considered just not showing up. Considered a dozen different escape plans. But at 4:55, she walked to his office door and knocked. Come in. She entered. He was standing by the window, hands in his pockets, his back to her. Close the door. Lock it. Her hands trembled as she obeyed. Sit down. She sat. For a long moment, he didn't speak. Just stood there, silhouetted against the setting sun. Then, finally, he turned to face her. I know the truth, Maya. Her world stopped. Just completely stopped. I know you're not married. I know you don't have a son. I know everything. Tears instantly filled her eyes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I can explain. Please do. Because I'd really like to understand why you lied to me. Maya took a shaking breath. My mother. She's sick. Stage 3 heart disease. She needed surgery. $50,000. I had no money. No insurance. I'd been rejected from every job I applied to. Go on. I saw your job posting. The salary could save her life. But you only hired married women with children. So I lied. I created a fake life. I used my best friend's son's photos. I invented a husband. I did whatever I had to do to save my mother. The tears were falling freely now. And I know that makes me a terrible person. I know I should be fired. But I don't regret it. Because my mother is alive. She got her surgery. She's recovering. And that's worth losing everything else. Ethan walked toward her slowly. Deliberately. Until he was standing right in front of her. You know what the worst part is? Maya couldn't speak. Could barely breathe. The worst part is that I spent 2 weeks hating myself. Hating myself for wanting you. For kissing you. For having feelings for a married woman. Do you have any idea what that did to me? I'm sorry. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't focus. I kept thinking about you and wondering what kind of person I'd become. Wondering if I was the kind of man who would pursue someone else's wife. Ethan. And then I found out the truth. And you know what I felt? She shook her head, terrified. Relief. I felt relief. Because it meant that what we felt in Miami wasn't wrong. It wasn't forbidden. It was real. He crouched down so he was eye level with her. I'm not angry about the lie, Maya. I'm angry that you made me think I couldn't have you. You should fire me. I lied on my application. I violated company policy. Probably. But I'm not going to. Why not? Because I'm in love with you. And I don't care how it started. I just care about where it goes from here. Maya stared at him, unable to process what she was hearing. You're in love with me? Completely. Terrifyingly. Irrationally in love with you. And then he did something that took her breath away. He kissed her. But this time was different from Miami. This wasn't desperate or stolen. This was a choice. A promise. Maya kissed him back, pouring 2 months of longing and fear and hope into that single moment. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathless. What do we do now? She whispered. Now. Now we start over. With the truth this time. What about your policy? About only hiring married women? He smiled. Consider it officially changed. Effective immediately. She laughed through her tears. Just like that. Just like that. I'm the CEO. I can do whatever I want. She shook her head in disbelief. This is crazy. Completely crazy. But I don't care. He pulled her to her feet, wrapped his arms around her, and held her like he never wanted to let go. I need you to promise me something. Anything. No more lies. Whatever happens from here, we do it with honesty. Deal? Maya nodded. Deal. 2 weeks passed. Then a month. Then 2 months. Maya and Ethan kept their relationship quiet at first. Professional at the office. But behind closed doors, they were learning each other. Really learning each other. He met her mother, Elizabeth. Sat with her in the hospital during physical therapy. Held Maya's hand when the doctors gave updates. He didn't just pay for the surgery. He made sure Elizabeth had the best care possible. Private room. Top specialists. Whatever she needed. And he did it not to impress Maya. But because he genuinely cared. Maya met his parents. Terrifying at first. The Blackwoods were old money, powerful, intimidating. But Ethan stood beside her, hand firmly in hers, and introduced her not as his assistant, but as the woman he loved. At work, things shifted gradually. Maya was promoted to Director of Operations. A position she'd earned through her actual skills and intelligence, not through any relationship favoritism. Ethan made sure of that. People whispered. Of course they did. Office romances always sparked gossip. But Maya didn't care anymore. She'd spent so long hiding. Pretending. Lying about who she was. Now, for the first time, she could just be herself. 3 months after the confrontation in his office, Ethan took Maya back to Miami Beach. The same resort. The same bar where it had all started. They sat in the same booth. Ordered the same drinks. Do you remember what I said that night? He asked. You said it was a terrible idea. He smiled. I was wrong. It was the best idea I've ever had. Even though I was lying to you. Especially because you were lying. Because it meant you were desperate enough to risk everything. And I respect that kind of courage. Maya shook her head. Only you would call lying courage. It is courage. You did what you had to do to save someone you love. That's not weakness. That's strength. He reached into his pocket. Pulled out a small velvet box. Maya's heart stopped. I know it's fast. I know people will say we're crazy. But I don't care. I've spent my entire life playing it safe. Following the rules. Doing what was expected. And then you walked into my life with your fake wedding ring and your borrowed child photos, and you turned everything upside down. He opened the box. Inside was a ring. Simple. Elegant. Perfect. I'm not asking you to lie about being married anymore. I'm asking you to actually marry me. For real this time. Maya couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't do anything but stare at the ring through tears. So what do you say? Will you marry me? She launched herself at him. Kissed him hard. Cried into his shoulder. Yes. 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 He slipped the ring onto her finger. The real ring. The one that meant something. Around them, other people in the bar noticed. Started clapping. Cheering. But Maya and Ethan only had eyes for each other. You know, he murmured against her lips, when you first lied about being married, I bet you never imagined it would end like this. She laughed. Not even in my wildest dreams. Well, get used to it. Because I plan on making all your wildest dreams come true. And he did. Because sometimes the best love stories start with a lie. And end with the most beautiful truth imaginable. 6 months later, Maya Carter became Maya Blackwood. Elizabeth walked her down the aisle, healthy and radiant. Daniel was there, along with Rachel and Tyler, who served as the ring bearer. When the officiant asked if anyone objected to the marriage, Ethan turned to the crowd and said, "You better not. I've waited long enough for this." Everyone laughed. Including Maya. As they exchanged vows, Maya couldn't help but think about how far she'd come. From a desperate woman lying on a job application to a woman standing in front of everyone she loved, promising forever to the man who'd seen through her lies and loved her anyway. When Ethan kissed her, sealing their marriage, Maya finally understood something important. Sometimes you have to lose yourself to find yourself. Sometimes you have to lie to discover your truth. And sometimes the person you're meant to be with is the one who sees past all your pretending and loves the real you underneath. As they walked back down the aisle as husband and wife, Ethan leaned close and whispered, "No more fake weddings for you." She grinned. "Just the real one. Forever." "Forever," he agreed. And they meant it. So what do you think? Was Maya wrong to lie? Did she deserve forgiveness? Would you have done the same thing in her position? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear every opinion, every perspective, every story you have about times when you had to make an impossible choice. If this story touched your heart, if it made you feel something real, hit that subscribe button. Because next week, we have another emotional roller coaster coming your way. A story about a woman who agreed to a contract marriage with her enemy, only to discover he'd been protecting her all along. Thank you so much for staying with me until the very end. Thank you for investing your time in Maya and Ethan's story. Thank you for being part of this community. Your support means everything to me. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, remember that sometimes the best love stories start with a lie and end with the most beautiful truth imaginable.